Hey, everybody, it's the Monday Review. We have Sanjay here to help us recap the World Cup draw and the reaction from the players and Poch. He was hustling all over the Kennedy Center on Friday and is now back home in New Jersey. Sanjay, how are you?
Good to be back speaking with you all. And yeah, it was a hectic weekend, eventful, exciting weekend, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Vince, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Adam Belz.
Good, good. All right,
How are you?
so I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. I was at I told you guys before we started. I was at a coaching class last night in Atlanta, and one of the things, it was a USSF coaching class, so not
Chill.
an not an inspiring experience, but certainly useful. And there was one thing that the guy brought up that was interesting. It was a grassroots 9v9 and a grassroots 11v11 class, and he brought up that he said, I didn't tell anybody I have a podcast, or I didn't say anything about any of that, but he said, you know what's coming up this summer, and like one of those guided questions, and somebody was like the World Cup, and then he goes, I think we have a pretty good group. And what's going to happen? What's going to happen at your club? What's going to happen at your rec if we go to a quarterfinal? And people are like, oh, people are going to be excited. And then he said, what's going to happen if we go to a semifinal? He's like, it could happen. And he's like, I said, so I said, hey, what's going to happen, sir? And he said, there's going to be a huge bump in enthusiasm and participation come the fall, and you're gonna have a lot more people trying a lot harder to play soccer. So that was kind of exciting to hear about the direct relationship between this upcoming tournament and, to steal a phrase, boots on the ground, grassroots soccer development. So that made me a little bit excited.
Yeah, that's an interesting topic, right? How it'll actually translate if we
Yeah.
get that momentum. Yeah, it seems so close. It's so far. We're into the teens temperature here in the New York area. So, the World Cup in California feels very far away, but can't wait till we're on that wave on that ride.
Yeah, it'll be here before we know it. So let's listen to a bunch of clips from Friday, and we'll start with Poch getting a question in the mix zone and reacting with a little bit of with a little bit of rejection of the question, as he's becoming famous for. Here we go.
Does this feel like a lucky grouping for your squad?
I think that is a little bit disrespectful, no? We to think in this way, but I think all the opponents are important, and you need to face all, because I think we need to respect all the opponent.
And I just mean relatively, compared to what it could have been.
Yeah, but I think all the groups, all the groups are very difficult. No one group. We were talking with another head coach, and we all think the same: is to show massive respect to all the opponent. And when you are going to compete on a World Cup, I think if you don't respect the opponents, it's because you don't respect yourself, and that is can start the problems. No? Of course, we are optimistic because we want to win.
He was spitting there at the end. You know what I'm saying? If you don't respect others, it's because you don't respect yourself. That's right.
Say more about that. What? How does that work?
I mean, I mean, on a human level is where
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it. But like, if you can't see the humanity in someone, and if you can't respect yourself, if you can't see the humanity in yourself, if you think you are not worthy of respect from other people, you're not gonna respect other people. It's
Hmm.
just simple as that.
Yeah.
So that was a nice quote there, man. That really got me. He was well. First of all, I was thinking to myself before he said that. I was like, this is just a nothing question. Like, what I'm saying, coaches, maybe one that you have to ask, but coaches are going to give the canned answer, like, hey, what I'm saying, we have respect for everybody, etc.,
Hmm.
etc. But then you get you a nice little pochism on top of it. That's what really makes it.
The Pochismo.
Yeah, that's right. Pochismo. Do I have a personal question? Is that what I sound like to you guys? Like that reporter, like a Matthew Broderick character from a 1980s movie?
No, I
Okay.
wouldn't go that far. It's funny getting a taste of that type of mix zone when you have media that's not just, from our little bubble. It's like you realize the magnitude of this event and the type of people that are going to be around as we get closer to June. And it's like that guy who asked that question, he was just like, none of us really recognized him, and he just barking that question for a while. And there's like a buffer layer of layers of journalists in front of him between him and Poch. So yeah, it's gonna be funny getting closer to the World Cup, seeing all of that media scene descend on this team. I like it. Honestly, it's good for the sport, right? But it's also like funny.
But this is when you have the opportunity to really click up. You know what I'm saying? We got the cool kids. We hear all the time. Sanjay, Doug, etc., etc. Versus Ron Blum. You got Ron Blum in the group too.
Ron Blum about to make an appearance here in this podcast episode for sure.
When you can thumb your nose up at everybody else.
I do think there is some value to the. Sorry,
go ahead.
I just think there's some value to the reporter parachuting in, because they are like a bull in a china shop. They are like the Kool-Aid man, and sometimes you need the Kool-Aid man a little bit to kind of. I don't mind. I guess I've made this clear. I don't mind the question that makes the coach or the player angry. And it seems like you're more likely to get that from some guy who's hasn't covered the team at all when they come in and say, "Does this feel like a lucky draw?"
It was funny in Florida. There are Spanish speaking journalists who often ask questions from a Liga MX perspective, like Zendejas, Club America kind of thing. But the reporter asked a question not just about Zendejas, but about other players who weren't there in a way that sounded dated. And Poch really let him know the question sounded dated, and he didn't appreciate it. And it's not necessarily the case that you're going to get like bad questions or questions that Poch doesn't love from these reporters coming in from the outside. A lot of them do their research and make sure they're on top of their stuff. But it's going to be interesting to see Poch kind of like balance that, that patience and understanding with wanting to talk about what really matters. Like when he walked out, when he was going from spot to spot in the mix zone, like where he was initially by the quote unquote regulars to guys like, the one who just asked that question, like the mix zone was so dense that it was kind of like leaning over the barrier closer to him, and he kind of jokingly like stepped back for a second. You know what I mean? He looked at us and like his eyes got big, and that's what the World Cup is going to be like. So it's cool.
He's an ambassador now. I mean, he can be. I mean, that doesn't mean he has to be nice all the time. In fact, I would argue it's better if he's not nice all the time. But he's definitely an ambassador, and he's got to speak to the people. He's also, I would say, striking, as you heard in that clip, a somewhat reverent, extremely serious tone about what's ahead of the team, and he's also watched a classic American sports movie. Here we go.
To think that never is enough. We need to always try to be better, but being humble, but being no egoist, being good teammate, play for the team, make the right effort in the right moment. That is why I was watching Miracle, and recommendation from the other day I told him in the summit in New York, and I listened from the coach, when he said, we don't need the best players, we need the right players to make a team a strong team, and that is what we want to provide, to this national team. The right player to build a powerful team with the possibility to fight with any team in the world.
That's also an Andre Blake quote. I don't know if y'all familiar with the video. There's some type of documentary where they follow around the Jamaican national team. And after him being fed up with, I think the main person who was fed up was Morrison, Ravel
Okay,
Morrison,
yeah.
and he's just in a meeting. Him and one person, he's just like, we don't need the best players, we need the right players. Like he said it like 4 or 5 times, bro. Like he was adamant, and like the next clip you see Ravel at training, kicking the ball around, whatever. But
Mm,
there was some friction, I guess, between per usual, I guess, between English imports
right.
and true Jamaican. I don't want to say true Jamaican nationals, but people from the island, born and raised, etc. How it
Right.
goes. But anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. I guess the quote speaks for itself. And I want to play one more clip from Poch before we move on to some players. He reiterated that there is no thinking past the first game for us.
well,
Well, go ahead. Yeah.
but before we get into that, I just want to, should we go ahead and send Poch down like the whole rabbit hole? You know what I'm saying? He watched Miracle. What's next? Does he need to watch Hoosiers? Because he's talked about this a lot now, not just at the draw, but like it seemed to me that it really was illuminating for him to see Miracle. I think it gave him some more context. I think he said something about like it informed him on like the American sports culture, et cetera, et cetera. And I started thinking about it, I was like, I mean, that does seem like a good tool
Mm-hmm.
if you truly wanted to get familiar with kind of, because it's not just the soccer culture here, but it's like how to connect with people. And Poch is big on that, right? How to touch the people. Like, so what moves the American people? What do we respond to as just a culture of sports watchers in general? So I guess I just wondered, like, we
Redeem
should
Team too on Netflix. Shout out Jesse.
See, I think what moves the American people, and maybe it's what moves all people everywhere in all times, is the underdog story. So that's why Miracle is so poignant for people. That's why Hoosiers is a classic sports movie. Redeem Team, they're not. Come on, they're not the underdogs.
No, I just meant what
They're going from bogey back to par, basically.
what resonates culturally. I mean, no, but I think the Redeem Team thing in terms of the culture he's trying to build, where everyone's like Miracle is where they're to squeeze the most out of very limited talent, right? Like that's what Miracle is about. I think Redeem Team is kind of like, I think that fits with what he saw and was trying to change post March, that infamous window. It's like everyone pulling in the same direction and all that. So
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, you need the whole spectrum. That's what I'm saying. Like, so yeah, Miracle, Redeem Team, Hoosiers. What's the we need them to
Glory Road. Glory Road is the greatest. That is the greatest. That is the greatest sports movie.
Sanjay knew where I
I've
was going
seen.
with that.
Yeah.
He needs to learn a little bit about that too. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That part of it. I don't know if there was a color barrier with soccer in America. But if you want to get the full gamut, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead and throw that in there too. Michael Cameron, I know you're listening.
Yeah, I don't know what are the other sports movies. I'm not like really an expert on the sports movie genre. I don't
Remember
know,
the
come as a
Titans.
shock to you,
Remember that?
Vince.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It does not shock me, Bill. But yeah, remember the Titans?
Yes.
Of course. I think we got a nice group right there.
That's a good foundation.
I actually haven't seen Hoosiers.
Me neither.
To be completely honest with y'all, but
I actually haven't seen Miracle.
Oh, it's a good movie.
Oh, we might have to stop this podcast.
So who was at the picture with everybody in the U.S. hockey jerseys? That was Poch. Was that his wife? Did you see the picture?
Mm-mm.
I think so. I just kind of assumed it was his wife. I said to him before the presser, because he said a while ago his wife didn't appreciate him using foul language, and I said to him, "Your wife is here. Don't say bad words, bro." Um, so I think that was his wife, and yeah, Jesus and Tony, the keeper coach,
Yeah.
soaking it in. Yeah.
That's sick, man. I mean, becoming one of us
Hmm.
slowly but surely, and I appreciate the effort. That's the big thing. That's a big thing for me, and I think we kind of hit on that last week, Bells. But just like, yeah, at first when it was just like, oh, you just gonna be this aloof dude in Barcelona, mercenary kind of thing that just flies back and forth, whatever. Which I wouldn't have much of a problem with, to be completely honest, as long as you got the job done.
Right.
As long as you get the job done. But it is endearing
He's
to know you.
definitely not. He's definitely not giving off mercenary vibes anymore. If he ever was,
Right. To be clear, that was a good clarification there, Bills, because I'm not saying.
Yeah, no, it was just like it was an open question. Like, what is he? Is that what he's doing? No, he's not doing that. He's watching Miracle. He's going to Ohio State football games.
That's right.
He's getting mad at reporters saying it's his team, tapping the badge, tapping the badge.
Not the janitor.
Yeah, not the janitor. Yeah, he's checking all the boxes. So he reiterated that there is no thinking past the first game for us at the World Cup, even if other nations may be able to afford that luxury. Here's the quote.
It's true that if you are Argentina and you are maybe today the best team and you are the last winner of the World Cup, maybe you can think a little bit to say, okay, that is the group stage. After, what is going to happen after? And maybe you allowed yourself to think. But with USA, we need to. Our first game is the final of the World Cup, and the second need to be the final of the World Cup, and the third too. We need to only to think that after the first game is not another opportunity. That is why that mentality that we want to build, that mindset that we were talking before, that we need to settle and be strong in this.
He was, popping his palm with his fist when he said that. When he said, "But USA, we need to."
I mean, not even Argentina though. Like famously last World Cup. Losing to Saudi Arabia. Everything worked out, of course.
Right.
But yeah, not even Argentina, which is why, when you see, I guess, I don't know, the people trying to be realists about our group draw or whatever. It's like, oh, we got 3 good teams in the group. I mean, whatever, that's fine. Every group got a team that's capable of beating you on a day, and that day might be 1 out of 365 if you were to play, every other day of the year. But it's a possibility in it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about Paraguay, June 12th. That's what we got to be. That's what Poch is thinking about. I mean, I'm thinking about what's beyond the group stage. I can't help it, but and I'm sure Poch is a little bit not acknowledging the fact that none of them can help thinking about that a little bit, but whatever, it's the right attitude. All right, here's Tyler making a good point about the dreams of children. When you're playing soccer in your backyard as a kid, you don't imagine yourself scoring, I don't know, the goal that takes Liverpool to the top of the table or the one that wins Inter Miami MLS Cup. What do you think about? Here's Tyler.
Every young kid, when you're growing up, you think of, World Cups, and when you're out in the backyard or front yard, kicking the ball around saying this is the penalty for the World Cup. I mean, at least growing up for me, I never grew up saying like this was, for a Premier League free kick or whatever it was that you were practicing. Everything was the World Cup. Everything was centered about representing your country.
Good point. Good point from Officer Adams,
Yeah, we don't really think about it, but kids in England, Germany, Spain, wherever, like they grow up probably referencing their club, right? Or some other team that's not the national team. Definitely not in Spain as much. Even in England, I think the tribalism with clubs is much more prevalent and overriding.
Do you think that's true? That in Spain and England they grow up thinking about their club more than their country? I'm talking about when you're like 6, 7, 8,
Yeah,
9 years
it
old.
depends on where you live, but for the most part, I'd say for sure.
I think so. Yeah.
With that example in
I'm
particular,
gonna need
in
to see the
Spain,
science. I'm gonna need to see the science on that.
in Spain, there's a notable lack of nationalism in a lot of places. In England, um,
I think
yeah, I
it's true in
think
Germany too.
the club game is yeah. Um, Plus, they're like accustomed to winning, right? Even in a place like France or wherever, the national team has been there and done it. So yeah, there's that side to it.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, one place where it's not true is Argentina. I don't think it's
Right.
true in Argentina. Kids aren't up there dreaming of scoring the goal for Boca Juniors. I bet.
Right. But you even got to think of like Tyler and the age of which he was growing up in the state of soccer in this country as far as viewing it and the club situation. The only time that soccer was treated with respect in this country for a long time on television, to what was the World Cup, you know? And so that's the only time where you saw it presented on TV and you could have like some delusions of grandeur type of thing. You know
Right.
what was the World Cup for and I think that would be the case for like a lot of American kids of this specific vintage. Now once we get to about let's see kids born in 2005 or 6 going forward, I would say maybe they would have a different answer. But I think up until then, I think that would be the case for a lot of Americans.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So here's my promised Ron Blum question, delivered with squeaky aplomb as usual. Christian punts to Tyler, who reluctantly makes a fair catch. But it's a long it's a long clip, but I think it's probably worth hearing it in its entirety.
What would you consider success for this team in this World Cup? And is your measure of success this time any different than it was in 2022?
Go ahead, Tyler.
I mean, we're obviously going to get this question so often, and I think it's fair to say that the last World Cup we couldn't set a bar or a standard for anything. We didn't know what to expect. We haven't been through the process. We didn't know what it was going to be like. Now, looking back on it, I think we have more experience. We're a lot more mature. We've grown a lot as individuals and as a team. Everyone's going to want us to say winning it is obviously the goal. Like our idea is to win. Like that's the goal. But I think setting the benchmark of the furthest the U.S. team has gone is also realistic. So we want to go and make a run, but again, it's a game by game mentality. There's more games to progress over the next window and right before the World Cup. So assuming the group is completely healthy and we have a lot of players, that's the most important thing.
And Christian, in your mind?
Yeah, no, I think he said it right. I think it's important to kind of split it into different parts as well. I mean, obviously the first goal is to make it out of the group. We know our opponents, well, 2 of them at least, and we know we're going to play against, and we have to finish obviously, the top half of that group, and that's our first goal. And then once we get there, it's a knockout tournament, and from there, no matter what round we lose in, we won't be happy. So you want to push as hard as we can, and yeah, we're gonna try to make a good run.
So I would say, I'm curious to your guys' thoughts, but I would say finishing top half of the group is not good enough. Like we need to win the group, and this is me thinking ahead past the group stage, which I know the players aren't supposed to do and ostensibly aren't doing. But if we win the group and we get to the round of 16, our likely opponent is Belgium. If we are runner-up and advance from into the round of 16, our likely almost certain to be opponent is going to be Argentina. I know who I'd prefer to play if we want to make a run that goes farther than any other U.S. men's national team in history, which is to the semifinals. That's what Tyler is saying without saying it out loud. that for him success is to get to the semifinals. So actually, it's more of an answer than you might think at first blush. But
Yeah, I
anyway, that's my
think
take.
this was the theme of the day, right? Is like how can we say we think we have a great chance here without being, like Poch said, disrespectful earlier. I don't know if we're gonna run that audio of Reem and Richards talking about it, but Reem did say it basically sets up nicely, right? Like it sets up well. And Chris is not only a great player and person, but he actually he answers questions. Like he'll say real stuff, and he said straight up like it's a really good draw, but and your route to the final is going to be tough, basically. So I think yeah, Tyler, like collectively they kind of let on respectfully that they think they're in a good situation. I don't know if they're actually looking at permutations for the knockout rounds and stuff. Like not that they'll never notice it and never talk about it. But I take them for their word when it's like we're not thinking that much past the group and looking at scenarios like that.
Yeah, me too. I'm not trying to be dramatic about like they're not telling the truth. No, I'm just like I'm thinking about it. And
yeah, but I think they're thinking about it enough where they realize what you just said. Like they will 100% go in with an urgency to take 9 points, or at least 6 from the first 2 games, and then we'll see, right?
Yeah, and like you really just can't think that far ahead when you're in it. You just cannot. Because like I mean they've been professionals long enough. Like any slip in focus towards the next thing at hand, it's just like you can get got just so easily. Margins are very thin, etc., etc. And they know all this. Number one,
they know it firsthand,
right? They know it. They know it firsthand, brother. And number two, once again, this is just why you need a Fed in your back pocket. I mean, Christian passing that question off to Tyler, Officer Adams, so well, and Tyler handled it extremely well. I mean, nowhere in that statement can you poke holes. He can't be aggregated with that with
right.
that answer. Like like perfect. You know what I'm saying? 10 out of 10. And then Blum wasn't letting Christian off the hook. He's like, well, Christian just, and then at that point, all he has to say, yeah, what he just said. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I laughed a little bit. But yeah, man. I mean, look, Officer Adams, that's a true asset, man. That's a true asset. I mean, people talk about he got coaching in his future. He got punditry in his future. I don't know, man. He might have to be the ambassador to some state in some state, maybe one that we're at odds with. You know what I'm saying? During the next,
maybe the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York and go after Wall Street.
Yeah, I think everyone was also talking about the fact that we already played at least 2 of these teams recently. And obviously people look at the result and get confidence from that. But I think the value in it was what Reem said on Friday as well, which is like they were friendlies, but they also weren't friendly. I think the fact that they saw that intensity, I mean, there were literally fights, right, against Paraguay and Australia. So that also helped, I think, reinforce that. And Poch, made it a point to say those games, like the people on the pitch, a lot of circumstances could be totally different, but just the fact that they tasted that is good. Not just that they're, how the teams play and personnel, whatever. Like the fact that Australia was out for blood, and then the Paraguay thing, we all saw what happened, right? So they won't overlook them.
I think the Paraguay one in particular, because I mean they brought all of their dark arts to the friendly for the most part. I mean, the cheap shot on Ballo, the fight, all the different types of stuff. I mean, and not just a cheap shot on Ballo, but they were just roughing that man up the entire match, and it worked until it didn't, type of thing.
Right.
But prior iterations of this team, you could easily see, us getting to the World Cup. Maybe we hadn't faced a common ball team before that. Like if we were just like enthralled in qualifying or whatever, and instead of hosting, you could see us get to the point in the World Cup match. That first match, tensions are high, nerves are high, everything. It's ratcheted up. Everything's ratcheted up. You can see us losing our cool.
Yeah.
Once Paraguay started doing what they do, but yeah, that exposure to it, I mean, it might prove invaluable.
And also, I've said this before, but I feel like we are gonna play Paraguay with they haven't seen our full hand. They know who else is who else is in the pool, but they haven't seen it on the field. So even though we beat them and we got to taste sort of some of their intensity, and as Tim Ream said, the intensity is going to be even higher. Obviously, at the World Cup, everything's going to be amped up. It's going to be more and more and more. They haven't seen our full strength squad, and I'm not afraid to say that because it's true.
Yeah, and I mean, we got exposure to what Australia is gonna inevitably try to do to Pulley again. Kick that man out the match, all this stuff. Like, yeah, I mean, the script writers and the schedule makers, they've done a great deed with this one.
Yeah. And it is really, if it is the underdog story that the American people love, and I think to some large extent that is what it is. If we get to the round of 16, we're in underdog territory.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're there, and people will get behind that, I believe. Ream said his off season is. He's already taking it on with alacrity. Thought this was kind of interesting.
Took 10 days off after November camp, and I'm right back to it. I saw that Diego said that this is the biggest off season of his career, and I would echo that sentiment. This is I've been playing for 16 years. I'm going into my 17th, and my 17th off season is the biggest of my career. Without a doubt, and you have to still be able to push yourself to go out and work out and do the things and make sure that you're flying and ready to go and ready to play 90 minutes as soon as preseason starts. And I think that's the ultimate goal for myself. Even being an old guy who everyone says, oh, you need to take rest. Listen, I played 45 games this year between club and country. I can rest when I retire, and right now is not the time.
It's him going, I never sleep because sleep is the cousin of death. Is something you love to hear.
That line was hard. That was hard at the end. Yeah. For more context on that, I'd asked him about this in the last camp of the year, and he said the older he gets, it's important to take less time in the off season. Like, he basically said, like, you can't shut it down for too long. Like, I've figured that out as I've gotten older. And this touches on something that I think isn't getting talked about enough. Poch actually referenced it in an answer in Spanish, I think, the other day. When it comes to, like, he always talks about the best condition, the players arriving in the best possible condition in May. But for that to happen, like, it means different things, right? Depending on whether you're based in MLS or Europe. I think, and I wrote about this recently, like, I think for MLS guys, it's actually good that they have this break. And for European guys, and this is what Poch had mentioned, like, he wants them to be playing every week and helping their team compete for important things towards the end of the season. That said, he has to make sure they're not burnt out, right? Like they're ready to go when they come to a hot, humid summer in the U.S. So, yeah, Ream's an interesting case, but overall, I think this is something that's going to have a pretty big impact. It's the same for every contender, right? All these guys based in Europe coming here in the summer, and in theory, our guys are more ready for it, but it's still a challenge that was not the case in Qatar, right? In Qatar, it was inverted, and the European guys are relatively fresh, and we still ran out of gas. So,
yeah, one thing I've noticed that I don't know has been talked about a bunch is that the hot, humid summer, not for us, Not for us. We're going to be in LA
Mm.
and Seattle. And then Santa Clara,
Great point.
is the next step after that. And then Seattle again, if all goes to plan. So, yeah, I don't know. I hope the Spanish are playing in, what's going to be the hottest place? Kansas City, probably. The hottest, humidest place. Or Energy Stadium in Houston.
Yeah,
I mean,
probably
Miami gets pretty bad, right?
Yeah, Miami as well. But Arlington, the one in Dallas isn't going to be. It's indoors. So
True.
Atlanta's
Yeah,
indoors.
for those of you not familiar with the West Coast or SoCal, we say June gloom. Like the weather is not nearly as hot as you think it'll be. In fact, the fall is when it gets bad. But yeah, weather-wise, it's a good point. We're in good shape.
Yeah, it feels great out there. But maybe some places in Mexico will have something to say about the hottest.
Yeah. Although the altitude really helps, right? In both Mexico City and Monterrey. Okay, let's do the Richards quote, which is about how things have changed since the crisis in March, basically. I thought this was pretty interesting.
Also, these games are going to help us improve, especially the March games are going to help us improve. But it's kind of the standards that we set for each other in training. That's really where you really make the improvements. And again, I think that's something that's really changed over probably the last 6 months, if I'm being honest with you. I think that, of course, there's belief on the field on game day, but I think it starts in training. And it starts with, sometimes you have to get into your teammate. But it's because, you want the best for not just him, but for the guys around you. And I think when you're playing for, I guess, a greater calling, when you're playing for more than just the name on the back, when you're playing for your whole country, I think it's easy to take down the chin and to try to improve from it. So, I think in every aspect of the game we can improve, but I wouldn't say I'm worried at all. I think that we definitely have enough time and we have enough quality to definitely do it.
So they're challenging each other more in training now than they were 6 months ago, which I think is great. Been reading a little John Wooden on the side. And it just strikes me how much that dude loved practice. He loved practice more than games, He took it real seriously. I know you're probably not maybe you're both not a John Wooden fan. I don't even know if I'm a John Wooden fan. I'm afraid to say one way or the other, but he did win a lot of national championships.
Is he controversial?
He coached. No. He's a legend, right?
He's a legend, although Bobby Knight says he benefited from a booster who did all his dirty work for him, and kind of turned a blind eye to that. I think it's actually true.
He coached our rival, but my friend's dad knew him, and we had the pyramid. We all got like an autographed pyramid of success thing. You know what I'm talking about? The John Wooden pyramid of success. Yeah, I remember that from like when I was a kid.
You have one of those at your house?
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
My friend's dad coached us in basketball, and he knew him somehow. So that was my memory of him.
He did, but just to bring it back to the point, he cared about practice more than he cared about games. Like he was famously like, it's not about winning, it's about doing the best we can do, getting the best we can get. And like even Kareem Abdul-Jabbar would say, like, he never talked about winning. He never talked about and then they went undefeated like 2 seasons in a row in the NCAA, which is just unbelievable. Anyway, Sanjay, go ahead.
Yeah, I think part of it is because of this, manufactured competition that's actually turned out pretty well. I think that's part of the intensity and getting closer to the World Cup. I also think Poch's training sessions are probably designed to be more intense, reading between the lines. Like I think I said this on here a while ago, but I remember at January camp being in the elevator with Reem before interviewing him. It was Reem and another player who I'm not going to name. It's off the record, I guess. But he said to Reem, like, that was the most intense match day -1 session I've ever done in my life. So that's I think indicative of the approach from Poch and his staff, and it's clearly working.
It's all roses, boys.
We'll take it. It's crazy how a few results can change your life, man. You're like, here we are, feeling good about everything that's going on, the direction of the program, etc. man, if his draw was 3 months
the
earlier.
the Belgium friendly, that's really going to tell us a lot. And again, obviously, the World Cup is its own thing. Who knows how guys arrive, who's available, who's not. But if we look convincing against them and get the result, then it's like, then we really start to float into the clouds here.
Yeah.
Almost prefer the Belgium game to be like a frustrating draw, where we show that we can create chances against them and can limit their chances, but then some variance brings us down in March, just so we can not shoot our not empty the clip before the actual.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it.
Understood. Yeah, I was looking at tickets for the Belgium match and the Portugal match. I guess it shouldn't be a surprise, but it surprised me. Like Portugal, everybody's coming. Like Belgium, you can still grab you a ticket in the upper deck, for like $70 or whatever. Which once again, if you need help on how to buy tickets, I was going through old YouTube videos. There's about an 8-minute video if you go through the scuffed YouTube called "How to Buy Tickets," and I walk you through. I walk you through step by step how to buy tickets, so you don't hop on Twitter getting mad at everybody talking about how expensive they are. You can get tickets to Belgium match for $70 right now out the gate. $70.
Not for Portugal though.
Not for Portugal. Not for Portugal. Cristiano Ronaldo has done everything that he needed to do to ensure that when he steps foot on U.S. soil, he is not arrested immediately, but buddied up to Trump, et cetera, et cetera. So I think we're full systems go on that. And and the tickets are selling accordingly. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
Yeah, I think both of those games are going to pop, right? Because Belgium's first. So I think it's good that they did Portugal on the Tuesday because that's going to be loaded no matter what with people.
Any ideas on the Charlotte match? I think that's the Continental Classico for this year. The opponent hasn't been announced now that the draw's through. You got anything?
I didn't really ask around about that. I should have. I forgot about that.
Okay.
Well, I think we can basically close it off here. I mean, West got an assist in a 2-1 loss to Napoli. Seems like every time I turn around, Napoli's beating one of those northern Italian teams.
Yeah.
And then Gladbach got another win, which is good for our two boys there. Leverkusen got beat 2-0. I forget by who.
Augsburg.
Oh yeah, and Nokai had a great who scored score.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
Yeah.
Was he? Yeah. Does anybody know if he was good or bad? I mean, I feel like we should approach the matter with trepidation, but no, we don't know. We don't know. You'll have to wait.
Yeah, this weekend was a blur. I didn't catch any of that. Did you say Gio looked pretty good, Belz, on Friday?
I'm not ready to say that. I'm gonna go no comment. I don't know yet.
Okay.
He was not involved in the goal. And he came off after like 65 minutes. So who knows? He might have been awesome. And then, I mean, one thing I do know for sure, Pepe scored again. Neat left-footed finish from a tight angle after getting played in, I think, by Saibari. He's just pissing gasoline all over the haters, man. He doesn't care. He doesn't care if you don't think he's as good as Ballo. He's just going to keep scoring. And I do wonder if he has that red Camaro in the Netherlands with him. Probably not. Probably left it in El Paso.
Who are the haters? Rico got haters?
I don't know. Oh. Everybody has haters.
Yeah, true. Very true.
I don't know it. I think I guess I'm talking about myself. I think Pepe is a step down from Ballo.
Oh, so you're saying everybody that? Fair enough.
Because there are some.
No shame in that. No shame in that. Ballo is that good.
Truly is.
Yeah, I don't feel any shame. I'm just saying, Rico's coming out here. He scores every time he goes out on the field, and he's making the case that he can make.
Right, and that's all we need him to do. You know what I'm saying? He's back healthy. fully healthy. You know, Daniel Smith has been tracking top speed stats over the past over the past 2-3 weeks or so. He's back up to his baseline. And so he's fully healthy. He's been getting to run out. He's looking like he's about to get a spot back from Goose Till. So you know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Everything is back on track. And yeah, if he can finish this season, go ahead and finish this thing out with a solid, I don't know, 20,
totally
25.
doable. Totally doable. 20 is
Um,
doable.
go ahead and get that done, and then after that, we look towards a move, maybe, possibly. It depends on how he looks. I don't know. I am a big proponent for get your reps in. So we'll have to kind of play it by ear as it goes on. And also regarding Geo, I didn't see the Gladbach match, but I did see the one little carry Geo had. I don't know if y'all saw that.
Uh-uh.
Yeah,
Um,
I think I know the clip you're talking about. Yeah,
yeah, he's kind of by the left touch line, receives the ball, um, pushes it, kind of receives it. It's under contention a little bit. It's a little duel. Somebody comes, puts pressure on him, pushes it past him, and he's kind of off to the races. He gets hawked before he gets to the ball, before he gets to the box, kind of. But it was nice to see some
Little bit of glide.
little bit of glide, a little bit of explosion from him, I guess.
there's a
Um,
flash of the vintage Geo.
yeah, it's a flash, and I'll just keep it at a flash because he did like promptly get he did promptly kind of get like he created an advantage, but the advantage was kind of taken away as he went from kind of by the center circle and to the attacking third. But baby steps in it.
Yeah. That's good
He's
to
on
hear.
his way, man. Yeah, with him and Jack McGlynn, anything's possible. We
I
should
can't tell if you're
we should
trying to be
shout
funny
out.
or not. Yeah.
I'm completely serious.
Yeah. I can see it in your
Like
eyes.
I genuinely believe that Jack McGlynn could play against Argentina and he'd score a banger. I mean, like
I mean,
this is a conversation for a later pod. But when you have a player who scores almost scores every time he plays for you, no matter who you're playing, like there's something to be said for that. But sorry, Vince, what were you gonna say?
fair enough. Well, I was gonna say we talked about this when we were in New York, but when I saw, when Jack was available for that mix zone or whatever, and I stood next to him side by side, and me and him were looking at each other in the eyes, I was like, hold on. It just I talked about it before on here, but it kind of changed my whole opinion of the man. Not that I was down on him or anything, but it's like, when you talk about the lack of physical tools and all that, um, adding in the fact that he is a solid 6'2",
Makes a difference.
it makes a difference. That like not everything is a negative, and maybe he'll be able to because you got that type of height, you got that type of ball control. That'll lead to him maybe being able to control the space around him, offensively and defensively in ways that maybe his running gait would not suggest.
Right. But I tell you what he needs. He needs the off season of his life. That's what he needs.
Yeah,
If he's gonna have a chance. I'm sympathetic to the banger thing. You're getting kind of angry over there, Sanjay. So I'm just trying to calm you down. But I'm sympathetic. But he got hurt at the end of the season. He hasn't played for a while. He needs to get right with his body and with the world if he's gonna have a chance.
Facts. Yeah, we should. Vince, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say MLS Cup.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, you read my mind. Read my mind. We got to shout out Leo Messi. Bummer for Sebastian and Brian White too. But
Blackman.
and Blackman.
Bummer for that right wing back for the Whitecaps who held Allende onside and then scored an own goal for the opener. I forget what his name was. A rough one.
My thought post game, like just zooming out, like we had. I don't want to end on this downer note, but like we had the best player ever win a title in Miami, and the main story emanating from Miami sporting story that day, weekend overall, in the consciousness of the national media was whether the U would make the college football playoff, right? And that whole discourse and debate, and that was just like a sobering reminder of where the league is, not necessarily the sport, but the league. And I know everyone's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, well that's why they're switching the calendar to avoid that," but like that's not the point. The point is like it was the actual game, the title game with the best player ever, and that was definitely overshadowed in the national sporting discourse by like not even a game for a team that's like kind of mid and probably won't win a championship or come close.
Right.
That's where so when people talk about the league getting to the a position for a big time media deal, like it's
Yeah.
sobering,
Yeah. But I agree with you what you're saying, but that is like the preeminent sports story right now is the college football playoff. Who was making it? Who would not? You got some big brands on that bubble right there. It kind of had Alabama on there, Notre Dame, the U. I mean that just it just is what it. I mean, shoot, it could have been the NBA championship and LeBron winning it, and I think it still might have been outshone by that. But I do think man, maybe they are onto something because if this happens in May, you might
No,
get the
it's good they're
fashion in a
doing
entire news
it.
cycle.
It's good they're doing it. It's definitely good. Yeah, I'm not disputing that. I'm just you get my point, right? It's like
Yeah, for sure.
that's still the gulf.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it.
I'm just trying to decide how acidic I want to be about MLS at this late stage of the podcast episode.
Go ahead, bro.
I just don't think it's not. I don't know. I don't have a scientific reason for it. It's just not compelling. I don't think it's because I'm like a Euro snob. Like I'm a little bit of a hater, but I'm a hater because of how I feel in my gut about it. And how I feel in my gut is like I don't give a shit. I don't care. It's not interesting.
Well, we'll see if you're invited back to any USSF coaching courses, buddy.
Well, nobody was talking about MLS yesterday,
Yeah. See, goes back to the Tyler Adams thing I was talking about. But I mean, man, we always end up back on this topic, don't we?
I know. I'm sorry. I was sitting there saying, "Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it." But I mean, Messi's a joy to watch. But like the whole lead up to it, I like the format's changed. What like as recently as 2 years ago, we got like a 3-game series and then a 1-game. It's all like the average sports fan. I can barely keep track of it. The average sports fan, like what? Okay, Inter Miami's in this final. That makes sense. They have the best player in the world. But like what got us to this point? Who knows?
Yeah, it's definitely a conversation for another day. But like they had to take the Apple deal. I think they're making the right changes. They're heading in the right direction. It's taking too long, and is it going to actually make a decisive difference in terms of the popularity of the league in the broader sports context here? I'm skeptical for sure. I mean, but for me,
the real estate investments have been wise.
Look, we're national team sickos. I'm really in it for the player development part, and even there, yeah, definitely not satisfied.
Let's get out of here. We are in Group D with Australia. I mean, let me do them in order. Paraguay, Australia, and probably Turkey, but maybe Romania, Slovakia, or Kosovo. And we got these 2 games in March. We're gonna hopefully do year-end annual review where we do the annual awards, the Scuffies. Hopefully next week, and then we'll take a little time off for the holidays, and we'll be back at it the beginning of the year.
Well, hold on. But right before we leave, did y'all see that they announced the times that we play? I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah,
I did. Isn't
saw
it
that.
4 p.m. Eastern time?
For
the first one?
9 p.m. Eastern
9.
time. The debut.
And then 3 for the second one.
3.
What the hell is that?
I don't know.
Why wouldn't you just do
That is kind of crazy.
back-to-back Fridays in prime time? Unless I guess the country's going to make that like a half day, the second one.
Because it's noon local time, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So 3 Eastern time. The Australia match, which is our second match. People that don't know, and then our third one, who will be the playoff winner. We're kicking off at 10 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay.
That doesn't make sense for people in Australia either, right? Like it would have been better for it to be nighttime here. Whatever.
A lot of considerations in this global equation.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like we hosting or anything.
Yeah, come on, Trump, figure that out for us. All right. Hey, thanks everybody for listening. Thank you, Sanjay, for joining us. Thank you, Vince. We'll see you.